Hi everyone, Sunstrider here, and today I'm going to talk about Eula. Honestly, I had this idea to make this content since I just finished building my Eula. When I say finished, I don't mean the one-shot build that can dish out millions of damage by her burst. Just building her enough to the point she's being relevant and I can enjoy her as a casual player.
That's pretty good.
For new Genshin Impact players, I think you guys should rejoice this moment and get your priorities straight because Eula is Genshin Impact's most legendary unit. This can be seen from how rare her banner is being rerun. Based on information that I found online, her last banner release was on November 24, 2021, which was also her second banner run on patch 2.3. It was pale in comparison to any other units like Zhongli or Raiden Shogun that already had 3 banner reruns. Now that Eula is back, I'm going to cover her entire kit, free-to-play weapons, artifact build, as well as her best team compositions now that we have more varied support. So, without any further ado, let's jump into the video. Eula is a 5-star cryo unit that presents the best of two worlds, physical and cryo damage. I don't mean to brag, but I got her by pure luck a few years ago without any real intention of getting her.
Stop the cap.
When I first used her, it was difficult to see her full potential because 1. Being a Ganyu main, I don't have any real awareness on how to effectively build any other units, and 2. My lineup back then was very limited or super bad to say the least that again, my main focus is to provide cover for Ganyu. For new players, you might be having a difficult time weighing between focusing on cryo damage or physical damage on her. Don't worry, because all you have to focus on building Eula is her physical stats including crit rate, crit damage, and energy recharge rate. These 3 stats are crucial in order for your Eula to do what she does best and even potentially help you to do the one-shot thingy. At a glance, Eula's kit is a simple and straightforward one where simply put, her skill is a damage and debuff that lower the enemy's physical resistance and her ultimate is a nuke that allows your Eula to deal massive damage. But in practice, her entire kit needs a little bit of understanding in order to make them really work. Her elemental skill has 2 modes, press and hold. Depending on your situation, you'll have to alternate between the press and hold variation of her elemental skill. What I mean by situation is when you're either facing small mobs or tougher enemies that sometimes need you to shred through its HP with your physical attack. When pressed, Eula's skill, the Ice Tide Vortex, can generate 1 stack of Grim Hurt. When 2 stacks of Grim Hurt consume, Eula will deal AoE cryo damage and decrease the enemy's physical and cryo resistance. On the field, the skill is very nice because it helps Claymore's users' low attack pattern to deal AoE damage, especially when faced against multiple enemies. In practice, fighting small mobs rarely requires me to use the 2 stack of Grim Hurt. What I will normally do is to press the elemental skill, do some normal attack while waiting for the skill to cool down, and do the hold elemental skill. With that combo, most small mobs will be instantly evaporated because on level 6, the press and hold damage is at 205% and 344% respectively. On top of that, the consumed Grimheart stack will also explode, dealing 134% of cryo damage. When it comes to her burst stacking, the pattern is a straightforward one where you're going to open the combo with your pressed elemental skill, followed up by your burst, then transition to 4 times normal attack, do the hold elemental skill, and followed up by another 4 times normal attack. By doing this simple combination, you're more than likely to deal a huge damage to the enemy. At the moment, I'm very satisfied with my Eula's performance because she can help me navigate throughout most of the game contents alright. I mean, at the moment, most of the game bosses tend to be weak against Dendro and its elemental reaction, but when I bring Eula, she still can perform well. I think it's also thanks to her team composition that I already own, as well as artifacts and free-to-play weapon build that we are going to talk on the next part of the video. As I just picked her as one of my current main, ideally I should have farmed some artifacts for her. But as a small-time content creator and understanding how investment heavy will that be, I went ahead and kept what she currently has equipped because on a closer look, some of her artifacts are already in a good substats. But it wouldn't be fun to see, right? I went ahead and completed my 4 set of Pale Flame because on the 4 set, this artifact provides a good amount of physical damage increase that can go up to 100%. In practice, using the 4 set Pale Flame elevates my physical damage bonus to 117%. For my Eula's weapon, I'm showcasing 2 free-to-play weapons and 1 slightly premium weapon from Gnostic-Heim. My 2 free-to-play weapons are Snow Tomb's Star Silver and Prototype Archaic, and the one from Gnostic-Heim, the Serpent Spine. The way I see it, these 3 weapons have their own uniqueness in providing damage for Eula, including their strength and some area where they're lacking. We are going with the Snow Tomb's Star Silver first. Initially, I believe it to be one of the best weapons for Eula because of its head-turning physical damage bonus number that can go to 34.5% bonus physical physical damage. If I concluded correctly, physical damage bonus gives additional damage to your current attack. Let's say my Eula's attack is at 1807 points and my physical damage bonus is at 117.8%. With this stats, Eula can dish out around 7k of damage throughout her 3 basic attacks. Now, when I take the goblets that majorly provide physical damage bonus, my Eula now sitting on 2121 points of attack and 59.5% physical damage bonus. On the field, her damage output on the first 3 hits is lower with 5k difference. Initially, I thought it must have been something to do with crit rate and stuff, but if I put it on a side-to-side comparison, then the difference is becoming apparent. As I managed to pull Eula's copy, now she is on Constellation 1, where every time she uses her Grimheart stack, her physical damage increased by 30%. Now, since she could do 2 stacks, then the total bonus will be 60%. This bonus, combined with my 117% physical damage bonus from weapon and artifacts, could bring my Eula's final stats to 177% physical damage bonus. Next free to play on the line is the Archaic Prototype. I personally never thought that this weapon would go to the list, but after seeing what it can do on top of considering Eula's kit, this one goes to the list. At level 90, this weapon provides 575 point attack and 27.6% attack, allowing my Eula to hit attack beyond the 20k points. When using this weapon, I quickly realized one thing about raising Eula, and that's the stats that matters to her. When I use this weapon, my physical damage bonus is at 83.3%. Despite the lower physical damage bonus, when I'm hitting the enemy, this weapon feels like dealing higher damage compared to the previous one. I think the number one reason why is because the weapon's passive on refinement level 5 will deal 420% attack within a small AoE. When you're fighting mobs during the world exploration, there's a high chance for you to quickly delete the enemy with this small AoE blast. And the good part, on Constellation 1, where your Eula can get up to 60% physical damage bonus, and that number combined with the 83% that she currently has when using this weapon, she will get her physical damage bonus to 138%. Last but not least is the slightly premium one, the Serpent Spine. At level 90, this weapon main stats falls when compared to the other 2 free-to-play weapons. In exchange for lower attack stats, you will get 27.6% crit rate on the substats. Of course, when used on my Eula, she now has a bigger crit chance probability and potentially deletes the enemy when you consume your 2 stacks of Grimheart. The tricky part of using this weapon is how we are going to maintain the Web Splitter passive on the highest stack possible. When I'm testing this weapon on Cyro Regisven, obviously it's easy to maintain the stacks, but when faced against multiple enemies, there's a higher risk of you losing the stacks. In practice, with final crit chance of 78.5%, it's easier for me to trigger big damage, especially on Eula's hold skill. I think the way Hoyoverse balance things out in this game is to lower the main attack stats of the Serpent Spine, because if it doesn't, then I think this weapon will be the number one choice for Constellation 1 Eula. Now that weapon is pretty much covered, let's talk about the team composition for Eula. As a hyper carry, Eula will need longer on-field time because that's how she'll do what she does best, dealing physical damage. My current team composition includes Sucrose, Cookie Shinobu, and Bennett. Yes, I know that I've been including Sucrose as the emergency supplementary unit whenever I don't have the right unit yet. But hey, she works. Aside from Sucrose, I think it's very clear what Bennett's role is in this team composition. As a melee unit, Eula will be up front fighting the enemy, and having units that can heal on top of enabling superconduct reaction will be a great one, and that's where Cookie Shinobu will play her part. In case you don't have any of the previously mentioned units, you can use Fischl to replace Cookie Shinobu because of her good off-field support capability by deploying Oz, or if you really want the extra 15% defense decrease, you can bring Lisa and combine Eula's reduced physical resistance with Lisa's defense decrease. If I have the resources, I think I'll invest myself in Rosaria, especially if I really need the extra crit rate. Raising Mika is a viable option for your team comp because of his skill that provides extra 13% attack speed. Last but not least, we have Xinyan as one of the team composition candidates for Eula. I was surprised too when I learned that her shield can provide a 15% physical damage bonus. I guess since nobody plays her, then it's just normal to be surprised of what she can do. However, considering how bad her kit is, then my biggest suggestion for you is to only build her when you're desperate to get that 15% physical damage bonus. Now, for the most exciting part of having Eula, the Wombo combo part. The way I see it, Eula has 2 combo modes, the normal one that includes stacking 2 Grimheart stacks when you use Ice Tide Vortex, and the second one is the burst stacking that allows you to deal huge damage to the enemy. I'll start with the normal one first. The first combo is very easy and straightforward one where you'll have the flexibility to use your Ice Tide Vortex thrice. Remember at the start of the video when I said that Ice Tide Vortex has 2 modes, press and hold? When you use press, you gain 1 stack of Grim Heart and you can use the press mode again after 3 seconds, gaining another stack of Grim Heart. Now, either you use the 1 stack or 2 stack of Ice Tide Vortex, holding down your elemental skill as the key S1, it will deal its damage multiplier, and 2, it will consume its stack of Grim Heart and deal 144% of Eula's attack as damage while also decreasing the enemy's physical and cryo resistance. Her passive, the Roiling Rhyme, encourages you to use 2 stacks of Grim Heart as it will create a shattered Lightfall Sword that will explode immediately, dealing 50% of the basic physical damage dealt by a Lightfall Sword from her burst. Confused? Great, because I'm going to explain to you as simple as possible. When I'm facing small enemies, what I would normally do is doing the press version of elemental skill, follow up by normal attack and do the hold version. As small mobs have a low HP, then doing this combo will definitely help you to take them down quickly. When it comes to bigger and thicker enemies, I normally extend my press version of elemental skill, followed up by normal attack and then use the press version of elemental skill to gain 2 stacks of Grim Heart, and once the elemental skill is active, do the hold version of the elemental skill. By doing this, Eula has 3 damage going on: the initial hold damage, the 2x Ice Brand damage, and lastly, the 50% physical damage from her burst. On talent level 6, on top of following the combo, I'm able to dish out 27k physical damage without buff and food. For the burst stacking, the pattern is closely similar to the 1-time press and 1-time hold with addition of normal attack in between. What you're going to do is do the press version of elemental skill, use your elemental burst, do 4-time normal attacks, use the hold version of elemental skill, do additional 4-time normal attacks, and boom! Eula's burst gain damage multiplier by how much stack that she can collect throughout the 7 seconds duration. The way you can gain stack is by doing normal attack, elemental skill, and first ascension add stacks to her burst. When done in the right way, most players will achieve 12 stacks. With Bennett buff, my Eula will achieve around 220k damage. Now, if you want to step up her burst damage, there's one simple and free way to do it, and that's to gain another stacks. The key for you to getting that 13 stacks lies in a split second after your first ascension explosion. Remember that Eula's burst gain stacks 0.1 seconds, and what you'll be doing is to let the explosion damage count first, and then followed up by your attack so the game will count them as 2 separate attacks. I'm not gonna lie, but when I first tried to wait for that 0.1 second, I tend to miss the timing and lose 2 or 3 stacks. But after countless trial and error, I finally had the intuition, and out of 10 tries, I only missed 3 of them. Personally, Eula is a good cryo unit that brings unique experience to the game, especially in the middle of Dendro domination. With a combo that is easy to trigger and naturally high talent damage modifier on her skill and burst, wielding Eula means that you are going to introduce to your enemies a world of hurt. Unfortunately for her, in terms of functionality, she might fall behind any other Dendro unit, especially if we consider most exploration, domain, and boss fights thus benefit from having Dendro in them. On top of that, she tends to lean on heavy investment in her equipment and artifacts in order to make her work. From crit rate, crit damage, energy recharge rate, and physical damage bonus, you'll need a major number on these 4 if you really want to see a big numbers. She's fun as she allows me to clear that floor 10 as well as floor 11, chapter 1 and 2, Abyss, which was something that I've been struggling to do. The way I achieve it is of course by utilizing her elemental skill and burst. If only I paid more attention when I first got her, I'm pretty sure that it must have been fun playing with her on earlier patch. Don't get me wrong, she's still a fun unit to play, but like I said before, where most of the game contents require or benefits from having Dendro unit, then it must have been difficult choice for players to raise or even pull her. Well, what do you think? Do you think Eula is a fun unit to play in the middle of Dendro domination? And do you think Eula is one of the best physical unit Genshin Impact has ever released? Comment below and let's discuss.